to finish off the back of this rim, the only detail we really need to add is this circular divot that they put in here. So to do that, we're just going to go back to our Blender file and turn the view to the back side here. And we're just going to make a circle, or actually a sphere. So we're just going to go to Create, make sure you're in Object mode, go to Create, and choose UV Sphere. Change the segments to 16. So you should have 16 segments and 16 rings. This worked out fairly well for me. I tried a couple different things, and this seemed to work okay, so hopefully it works okay again. Now we're going to go to Tools and turn on Smooth Shading so that it has smooth shading on this sphere here. We're going to press Tab, we're going to press S to scale this down, and we're going to bring it back on the X-axis. We're going to do Control 3 on the number pad to go to left view, and we're going to bring this up, scale it down some more. When you're scaling, make sure you have this on median point. So if it was on 3D cursor, you may want to do Control Z or just delete this sphere and start again, making sure you have it on median point when you're doing scaling to make sure it's scaling appropriately. The divot is a bit bigger than these holes, as you'll see in my little example here. It may even be a little bit bigger than what I actually made it here, but it's up to you. There'll be a link in the description that gives you a picture of this part of the rim, so you can make your own decision as far as how large you want your sphere to be. So I'm just going to scale this up a bit, and you also want to try to position it about halfway, so you should have the amount of space here should be roughly equal to the amount of space here. That's how you know it's essentially halfway. So I think maybe a size like this is going to be appropriate. Once you have the size that you're looking for, you're just going to bring it in a bit on the X-axis. And we're going to do Control 3. And we actually want to rotate this so it's over here, because we want this little divot to be over here. So we're going to change it now to 3D cursor. We're going to do R and then -36 and press enter. Change this back to median point, and at this point you want to make sure that the sphere is going inside of this part of the rim, and the amount of distance that it's going inside will determine how deep this divot's going to be. I think I did a reasonable job on this as far as how far in it is. But again, just look at the picture in the description, make your own decision as how far you want this to be sticking in. So I'll just look at this and try to explain how far mine is going to go in. So this is basically the center line. From this point over to here and this point over to here, there's an equal amount of the sphere. So I'm going to go until maybe here. So a little bit, you have this center line, and then you have this line, and this other line's the one that's just barely in there. And then you can do 1 and Z. So go to front view by pressing 1 on your number pad, and you can get a better idea of how far in the sphere is going to go in terms of, or in comparison to the back here. So it's not going in too far, it's just a nice little divot here. You can adjust it to be in further or less if you want, depending on what you feel is appropriate. Maybe I'll do a little bit more than that. Once you're happy with it, we're just going to press tab to go back to object mode and select the rim. Go to the modifiers tab, go to the top, add a modifier. We're going to add a boolean. Go back to the bottom, click on the little eyedropper for the object, and then choose the sphere here. Now change the operation to union and click apply. Just before you click apply, make sure that the sphere is in the right position, the right scale, everything is correct, and then click apply. Now we're going to select the sphere, the original sphere, H to hide that just in case we want to use it again. Select the rim, press tab to go to edit mode. We're going to alt right click on one of these edges that's closer to the bottom of this but not actually touching. We're going to do delete and choose vertices. We can do the same over here, alt right click, delete and choose vertices. Then we can hover over this piece, press L, do delete and choose vertices. So we're just deleting the pieces that are not actually touching this part of the rim. So all the extra pieces, we're just deleting those right now. So we're going to alt right click on this. We're going to alt and shift right click on this, do delete, vertices. Do the same on the bottom, alt right click, alt and shift right click, delete and choose vertices. We still have a few extra vertices to deal with. So we have this one here, and this one, and this one, and one over here too, so we have 4 in my case. Yours may be a little different depending on how far in you moved your sphere. If you have extra pieces that are not supposed to be connected to this, just delete them, select them, and then delete them. And it looks like I still have a few extras on my model, so I'm just gonna go around deleting those. Anything that's sticking out like further than it should be just needs to be deleted. And for now we're just going to turn off the subdivision surface, so just click on the eye. And we don't need anything to the left of this line here. So we can just alt right click, alt and shift right click, do delete, vertices, select this vertex, delete that as well. And this one can go away, so delete that one. So you shouldn't have anything to the left of this line. Another thing we can do is press A and then do Control N. That's going to recalculate the normals so that everything looks a little bit nicer. And now it's just a matter of cleaning up the mesh. So we have a vertex here that we don't really need, so we're going to select it and then shift select this one, alt M at last. And there's actually 2 vertices here if you zoom in, so we're just going to get rid of one of them, merge it over. Anywhere where you have a bunch of vertices, it's more than likely that you can actually get rid of some of them. So we have a straight line here. This vertex that's in between that straight line, we can get rid of it. So I'm just going to merge it over. Same with this one, going to merge that one over. Looks like we have an extra vertex at this point. So I'm going to merge this one over. And I'm going to try to figure out which one I want to get rid of on this part here. Looks like I want to get rid of this one. And get rid of this one. And we can even get rid of this one and this one, which means I can probably get rid of this one as well. So that's looking pretty good. You just want to clean it up similar to mine if you can. Then what you want to do is go to face select any faces that have an n-gon, like this is technically an n-gon, you're just going to select it, do Control T, select it, do Control T, select it, do Control T. Except that one, I don't think I needed to do that in that one. But I guess I can leave it just for consistency so that they're all triangulated. These center ones here, it's going to be best if they kind of join over this way. So we can select like a point over this way, select these 2 points and do J. Or at least for this one, it's going to be best to have a connection in this direction. And then we can select this face, do Control T. This one's probably fine, we can probably leave that for now. So you just want to have either quads, like this one's a quad, it has 4 vertices making up this face. So you either want quads or triangles all the way around. You want one line that's going straight across to help us when we make a supporting edge loop around this. And clean up any unnecessary vertices around the circle. Once you're done with all those things, we're going to press K for knife cut, left click here, and actually I'm going to right click because this is still an n-gon, so I'm going to select this face and do Control T. Now I can do my knife cut stuff, so I can do K, left click, and left click again, and then go to the end. So all you really want to do is just go from here and across all the edges that are going to be around where this circle part is, and then press enter. I'm going to go to vertex select, alt right click, so you should have a line that's similar to this, then do Q, then E, F if you need to, so the dots on this part or around the circular part. Bring it in fairly close. It's going to be all kind of messed up, but we'll fix this anyway, so don't worry about that. Just get it fairly close. And we're going to do some more cleanup, so we have to merge these together to get rid of these triangles. So we're going to select these two, Alt-M at center. Select these two, you can do Shift-R to repeat. Select these 3 in this case. And just go until you don't have any unnecessary vertices. So it looks like I'm all set now. Then do Control 3. This will bring us to left view. Now we can adjust the individual vertices by selecting and doing G. Trying to keep a similar distance all the way around. And trying to keep a good flow of the vertex direction. So when you're turning a corner, these should all kind of flow nicely. So just keep the same distance, keep a nice look to it, and that's really all there is on this part. Just trying to make it look nicer, so that looks okay. Another thing I'd like to do once you're done with that is go to face select, alt right click to get this loop here. Make sure you're on median point. Do S, X, and then 0 to flatten it out on the X-axis, and press enter. Just in case it wasn't perfectly flat, now it's going to be perfectly flat. Then we're going to do G and X, hold Control, and snap to this point here. That's going to make sure that this surface in this area is completely flat, so we don't have any shading issues or anything like that. So that should be pretty much it, I believe. We're going to see what it looks like with subdivision surface on. So just click on the eye. And things do appear to be looking fairly nice. Some minor shading issues at this angle. So if you're happy with this and you're not worried about these shading issues, you could just save it here. But I'm going to go through a process where we can try to fix some of these shading issues. So this is more of a technical thing. It's not necessary if you're just trying to make a simple model or a more simple model. So I'm going to show you how to make this look a little better. So just turn off your subdivision surface. And part of the reason it's looking all weird is because we have a lot of what's called poles. And poles are basically any vertex, so like this vertex, that has a lot of edges coming out of it. They're usually going to cause problems with shading, or if you're using subdivision surface like this, you'll see that you have problems in the areas where you have poles, because there's an uneven number of edges that are connected to that one vertex. And it's creating, so if we turned on this option here in edit mode, it's creating like this focus in this area right here. It's creating an overloaded focus of edges going in this direction, and that's causing shading problems. So in order to fix that, you have to remove the focus on this vertex. So in order to do that, we're just going to delete most of these faces. We're going to start from scratch, basically. And we'll start by going to face select, select a face, do C for circle select. And we're really just going to delete most of this stuff here. Maybe even these. And actually I want to go to edge select and deselect these center edges. And we may actually, I think what we wanted to do instead, we're going to select this edge, and we wanted to be in edge select the whole time. So just select an edge and start circle selecting some of these edges. Don't select the middle edge. Select all these other edges instead, and again, don't select the middle edge. That should be fine there. So I left a few over here. Make sure you leave the diagonal. Make sure you leave the straight up and down edge, and then you can do delete and choose edges. And we're going to turn off subdivision surface if you haven't already. Go to vertex select. So the goal is going to be to bring some of these over in this direction, and actually I see I've got another vertex I need to delete here. So I'm going to select it and delete it. You may have some extra vertices you need to delete as well. But the goal is kind of to connect these circles so we have quads instead. Because we had triangles before, we want to make more quads in order to reduce how many poles we have. So actually on this one, we can select this edge, do delete and dissolve edges, and this is actually a quad now. And we can turn this into a quad if we wanted to. And we can even turn this into a quad by selecting these four and pressing F to make a face. So if we continue that process, and it's okay to do like a triangle here and there, it's not going to be too much of a problem. You just want to avoid having too many edges going to one vertex. That's really all you want to do. So we're going to select these four and press F, and maybe these four and press F, and then that's probably going to be okay. And then from here you just want to make more quads, and once you get to this point it's a little bit easier. You can select these two and then just press F a bunch of times until you get to about here, and then you can start selecting some of these and pressing F, and maybe select these and press F, and then select these right here, and finally press F to clean that up. So we have one triangle when before we had a lot more triangles than that. So we're going to see if this helps improve the shading. We're going to turn on the subdivision surface again, and we're going to take a nice close look at this. So what you can see now, like before you kind of had that shading issue in this area, and there was some other shading issues around various parts of the rim. And I actually can I can bring up the other file so we can compare the two, but this looks a lot cleaner than the other one. And if you look at the edge flow when you turn this on, you turn this button on, you really don't have that problem. Like, you have this one pole here where it's got, you know, a few edges going towards it, but all the rest of this is actually really nice and clean. And that's why we're getting better shading results, because our topology is much nicer than what it was previously. So let's take a look at, this is what it was before. So you see you've got this issue here, you've got an issue here, as well as, you know, everywhere else is kind of having problems because the topology is not very good. So although this method is quicker, it's very obvious that doing it by hand is a lot more effective in this case. So now that we have that out of the way, the explanation's out of the way, everything's out of the way, we can save this. So we're just going to go to File and Save.